In the September 2019 Pantheon Rise of the Fallen newsletter, creative director Joppa Perkins introduced a new segment called Burning Questions, where he answers one question about each class that has been frequently asked by the community. Now, if you know me, you know this sort of thing is right up my alley, and there was a lot of interesting information in here. I mentioned some of it in the last episode of the Baz Flash, but I think it deserves a little more detailed explanation. So I'm going to do something that I don't do very often and just go through them all exactly, one by one. So no matter what your favorite class is, you can learn a little something new. And I'm actually going to take 2 separate videos to do this to make it a little easier for you to find the information that you want to know. In today's video, we'll cover the Cleric, Druid, Wizard, Warrior, Ranger, and Rogue. Let's begin.
This is BazgrimTV. Learn, laugh, level up.
If you want to always stay up to date with all the latest and greatest Pantheon information, hit the subscribe button now if you haven't already, because that is exactly what I'm dedicated to doing here. I know it's sometimes time-consuming to completely read through all of the development news, so my goal is just to keep you in the loop by passing along the information quickly and easily, and then let you do with that what you will. And coincidentally, that goes along perfectly with Joppa's new Burning Questions segment, as he covers a lot of ground and rattles off information rapid-fire style. So, with all that in mind, let's start at the top. These questions don't seem to go in any particular order, but first up is the Cleric, and the question is regarding one of the Cleric's more unique abilities, Celestial Aegis. So first, let's look at the ability's description. Quote, you manifest the Celestial Aegis for a limited duration. You can place this massive shield of light in the environment, or even carry it for short distances. While it lasts, it is an immovable object that no enemy will be able to pass through, end quote. Now, I think right off the bat, one of the first uses most people will think of for this is to block off a hallway in a dungeon as a form of crowd control. But the question is, how will NPCs react when this happens? Well, here's Joppa's answer. Quote, when NPCs encounter the Celestial Aegis barrier, they will be limited in how far away they can look for a path around. If they can't find one within that range, they will try to break through the barrier. The barrier will have a certain amount of hit points, therefore, it will either dissipate when the NPCs break through, or when the barrier's duration ends, whichever comes first, end quote. The next question is very simple, yet very important. How will Druid and Wizard teleportation be handled? Again, let's first look at the ability descriptions. So, the Druid's Wandering Stone states, quote, explorers have noted the presence of ancient iridescent stones that stand within shrines hidden amid the groves and wilds of Terminus. These stones have come to be known as Wandering Stones, and are seething with druidic magic. Because of this, it is rumored that druids are somehow able to attune to these Wandering Stones and travel between them, and perhaps there is even more to these stones than most realize, end quote. And the Wizard's teleport ability on their class page is actually classified as an epic ability. And if you don't already know, when I interviewed Joppa at PAX East 2018, he explained what an epic ability is.
I'm reminded of the scene at the very end of, what was not the most recent Star Wars movie that came out, but the one before that, like not the
Force Awakens?
I think it was The Force Awakens, the one that ends with her finding Luke Skywalker. Like,
yeah.
So I'm reminded of that scene where in Terminus exist these certain masters, if you will, of class-based masters of their order or their line, and they hold very powerful information about certain abilities and skills. I would include skills in that are only achievable by finding these certain masters and convincing them to teach you what they know. So when we think of epic abilities, we're thinking of abilities that are very powerful, thus the epic nature, and very hard to obtain, because it's not only about finding this person, but it's about, similar to, you think of like epic weapons and the epic quests that go along with them, it's about convincing this person through whatever hoops they think you need to jump through to convince them that you're worthy to learn this. So that's what we mean by epic abilities. Very powerful, rare in that it's going to take It's not only at the highest tier level that you would find epic abilities.
okay.
Let's say there's 5 epic abilities for each class. Totally pulling that number out of my head right now, but let's say there's a finite number. Some of them may be obtainable at lower levels, but they're all going to be things that are difficult for you to achieve. Certainly by yourself, you're going to need help, and things that you really have to invest time in to gain.
So with that in mind, here's the description for the Order of the Gatewalkers. Quote, wizards have the opportunity to prove themselves worthy of joining the Order of the Gatewalkers, consisting of wizards who have mastered the power to travel through the gateways that exist on Terminus. This prestigious order of wizards has maintained a steady watch over these gateways for ages, guarding their secrets and protecting them from destruction. The worthy wizards who join this order are expected to do the same. End quote. So with all that in mind, here's the answer to the original question. Quote, when a wizard approaches a gateway for the first time, they will be able to discover it. Part of that process includes speaking with the NPC gatewalker who oversees the portal. Whether through conversation or quest, the wizard will gain access to that gateway as part of their network. Every gateway they discover in this manner will become part of their ever-increasing network of gateways. Druids will encounter an identical process utilizing Wandering Stones. Our plan is for the Wandering Stones and gateways to become increasingly available to druids and wizards as part of a growing interconnected network. Wizards and druids will then be able to access all of their discovered portal locations through a UI window. At higher levels, druids and wizards will be able to teleport themselves to the primary gateway or Wandering Stone in order to access the network more quickly. In addition, they'll eventually be able to bring their group members with them through the gateway and Wandering Stone network. End quote. Next up, we have the Warrior, and on the Warrior class page, under the available weapons section, it says, quote, all weapons, though warriors are most suited for using shields in their offhand, with several of their tanking abilities requiring shields, end quote. So that of course raises the question, what will make shields interesting to use in Pantheon? The answer, quote, for one, shields will make up a significant portion of the warrior's armor class, not only because shields will innately have very high armor class as part of their item identity, but because warriors will be able to synergize and capitalize on that aspect of shields to great effect. Secondly, and more importantly, warriors will gain access to powerful and dynamic shield-specific combat abilities that are offensive in nature, not just defensive. More on those specific abilities and seeing them in action soon. The goal is for warriors to take great pride in their shields and feel significantly stronger defensively and offensively because of them, end quote. Next is the Ranger, with the question being, will Rangers be viable DPS if they stick to ranged or melee combat and don't weave between the two? This was a big one for me personally since I streamed my gameplay of the Ranger in Pantheon way back in August 2018. And while I had fun constantly shifting between melee and ranged combat, I think it's totally fair to ask if you will always have to do that to be effective. And here's what Joppa said about this. Quote, I've given this one quite a bit of thought over the past many months. I can say that as of now, the answer to this is yes. Moving forward, the design of the Ranger class will focus on keeping them viable and competitive in DPS both at range and melee combat, while leveraging their ability to weave between short and long range combat to create situational advantages that they can exploit while maintaining incredibly high mobility. We're also reworking the momentum resource quite a bit to support this playstyle, and can't wait to show it in action, end quote. Coming up behind you is the Rogue, and we've seen the Rogue in streams several times, but that's exactly the problem. We've seen them, because they haven't really used stealth all that often. So the question is, of course, how big of a role will stealth play in combat? Quote, having just finished a stealth system overhaul, including a true detection-based system, we're more excited than ever to show off the stealth system and the role it will play for rogues in direct combat. Stealth is intended to play a major role for rogues in combat when it suits them. Like Rangers, Rogues are being designed in a way to seamlessly weave in and out of stealth during combat as it fits the occasion or offers an advantage. The key is that Rogues should not take a heavy DPS loss by leaving direct combat to go into stealth, assuming the focus remains on DPSing the target. Therefore, we are working to tune the opportunity endurance resource relationship to facilitate that. Well, that brings us to the halfway mark. In this video, we covered Cleric, Druid, Warrior, Wizard, Ranger, and Rogue, so of course in the next video, we will cover the other 6 classes, the Summoner, Enchanter, Dire Lord, Paladin, Monk, and Shaman. I'll see you there.